Good evening, everybody. Hello, and welcome to round 2 of League of Europe Division 2. I am Killerboo295, also known as QVR_Skiller. Killer. I wish I had some skills. Sadly, I don't, if D1 is anything to go by. I'm joined by a man who's fresh off giving his Fanatec a proper scolding, and I've just poured a load of water down my trousers. It's Ariel J. Cole. How are you doing?
I'm okay, man. I'm okay. I think I've given more than just a scolding to Fanatec at this point. I don't think I will refrain from what I am going or what I'm thinking. I'm not going to say it because otherwise I don't feel like this. I feel like the stream will get taken down probably within the next couple of minutes. I'll get cancelled. The league will get cancelled. Everything like that will go ahead. So yeah, I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'll tell you why your wheel is so disagreeable with you. It's because you're not Dutch. The Dutch, they have a secret way with Fanatec. They're like the Fanatec whisperers. It's like Super Nanny, but for wheels. And you're English, so you know they don't like you. We have a sprint race here today, which means we're going straight into a one-shot qualifying. So I'll quickly whiz through standings. Alex the G, reserve, won last time out. He's got 25 points. Ariel Felipe is our first full-time driver. He's got 18. T-Brum coming straight up from D4, got third place last time out. And then Evans Joshua with 12. Luco 5 completed the top 5. He's got 10 points. 8 for Brent, 6 for Taupe, 5 for Larkin, 4 for ET8 Chris, our D3 champion, 3 for IRT Rex, 2 for Swee Ross, and 1 for IRT Redify. Let's go straight in with Lifebout, who won in Division 4 last week. I'll have you know, but he's straight up to Division 2 this time round, and he's chucking the car into turn 1, down a couple of gears into 4th, into 3rd, revving the car out, take a wide line towards 2, bring the car down, shuttle it downhill, and then take a never-ending approach to turns 3 and 4, let the car roll to the outside of the track, stay to the right-hand side for the shortest run, clip the kink of 5, it's a non-corner, bring the car to the outside, down to 2nd gear, crank it in for turn 6, get on the throttle as early as you can, stay to the outside to open up another never-ending corner here, turn 7, easy to spit you out if you're like me, you're in too high a ride height, 8 follows immediately down to 5th gear, and then the tricky double left-hander of 9 and 10, you might want to take those in 3rd, some take them in 5th, I take them in 4th, the curve's lethal, as I found out in lap 3 of the Division 1 Grand Prix race, down to 2nd gear for turn 11. Charlie's retired from the session there, as you can see. Lifebout clearly justifying his promotion as he comes through turns 12 and 13. Well, you've got to be so hesitant on getting the car on the throttle. You always just got to wait a little bit longer than you feel you need to avoid spinning the car out. One of the longest straights in Formula 1 here. But yeah, in D4 last week, and now heading straight for a row 2 grid spot in the sprint in Division 2. It's Luco 5 HD and Ariel Felipe at the top. It's looking like it could be an AlphaTauri front row, but Lifebout's looking to spoil that, and as he comes through turn 16, not too aggressive with the curve there, and QVR Kos Kappen, that's Ben JS, nips into P2, Lifebout 4th in the end. It's Luco 5 HD J. Cole that takes a very impressive pole position, a few invalidations and spins at the back, as we can see Marcio, Rex, Resify, Swee Ross, The Scream, all very late to come in there, but that looks like a tasty grid.
Yeah, it certainly does. Luke done a very good job getting it on pole. I think it's just under or just over 0.2 of a second up ahead of Ben JS in 2nd as well, and then his teammate Ariel Felipe or Nolan, who's 2nd in the championship, in 3rd. So very good showing from both of the AlphaTauris. Lifebout on his debut in D2 from Division 4 in 4th is mightily impressive.
It is, I'm just eating a biscuit, but here we go. Luke's on pole from Kos Kappen on the front row. All British, all Brummy front row, in fact. Felipe's in 3rd, Lifebout in 4th. League of Europe's first Iraqi driver, I do believe. Larkin's 5th, Alex the G 6th, Evan the 7th, T-Brum is 8th, RJ 9th, Nick's 10th, that's 3 Brummies in the top 9. Chris is 11th, Brent is 12th, Scream's 13th, Swee Ross is 14th, Resify 15th, and Rex 16th. And whoever was at the back, I didn't get around to you, but you were clearly irrelevant because you were qualifying down there. Sprint to come, we saw some shenanigans on lap 1 of Division 1. And again, I will refrain from speaking. But it got me an orange front wing. How are you going to see... How do you see this unfolding, Jack?
Again, hopefully not like Division 1, because that also ended up with me also getting an orange front wing. So, yeah, I mean... I would expect that both of the Division 2 and Division 4 would have watched Division 1 and Division 3 races, maybe the start of them, and they would have seen that it was absolute chaos in both Division 1 and Division 3. So hopefully they're going to try to treat it a little bit more careful. Of course, it is a sprint. Obviously, it is a sprint and not a marathon this time around, but I would still expect Division 2 to keep it nice and clean going through into Turn 1. I'll tell you what though, it's that hairpin coming down the long straight. I think it's still one of the longest straights on the F1 calendar. That's the one I am mainly worried about. Where if everyone is still quite tight and compact with each other, then we might see a couple of front wings disappear from that part. But as I said, Luke has got a very good, or done a very good lap, to say the least. Ben JS in second and Nolan in third. Nolan's obviously going to try and do what he can to get past Ben. We could see an inter-team rivalry between both Luke and Nolan. He was helping out his teammate last season, but I get a slight inkling that we're going to see these two battle it out for possibly the lead and the race win for the sprint, even potentially the feature race.
And perhaps the championship at large as well. Nolan is second in the championship right now. Alex the G, the man starting down in 6th place. Somewhat more subdued qualifying for him today. He is our championship leader, of course, in this. And there is a point available in the sprint we can't neglect to mention as well. 10 for victory, down to 1 for 10th place. Increments of 1 point, of course. And then an additional point for fastest lap if you finish inside the top 10, as is the case with traditional Formula 1 anyway. I am going to make a prediction here, and I'm going to say Luke is not going to win this race. Not very bold. I think both AlphaTauris are going to hit sticky trouble. I don't know whereabouts or who it's going to come from, but I think we're going to see a chaotic sprint race. D3 and D1 have anything to go by. I think D2 is going to go the same way, to be honest with you. I couldn't tell you where on this grid our race winner and our podium finishes are going to come from.
Yeah, no, I feel that as well. It's a couple of people just having a little bit of a spin at the final corner and even coming up towards the line just to heat up their tyres. And we're going to be going for these 5 red lights for the first of 2 times for this evening. Of course, there are 3 sprint races across the calendar, this being the first one. So here we go. We've got the 3, 4, 5 red lights for the first time of 2 for this evening. The lights are out and away they go. And who is the one that gets a better start? It looks as if Ben JS having a better start in comparison to Luke. Luke's still getting away very well, though. Up into the lead of the race. Ben JS going to hold it down the inside in towards turn number 1. All clean so far. Larkin going around the outside of Lifebout. Going through turn 1 in towards turn 2 and turn 3. Who have the inside going down in towards that. The 2 AlphaTauris side by side. Ben JS gets into the lead of the race. Evans gets past Alex Agias. There's been a bit of a spinner. That is ILT Tote down at the back of the field. Sweet Rock's dropping down another position from Matty as well. Still going around the outside is Larkin on Luke, our pole sitter, not having the best of starts whatsoever, losing 2 positions off of the start. Larkin still trying to put pressure onto Luke, but not able to get the move done. Now up to 4th, Luke down into 3rd. Very bad start from Luke, very good start from Ben JS.
Alex the G's come into trouble as well. There's a gap that's opened up between Lifebout in 5th and Evans in 6th, and it's caused the top 5 to run away just a little bit. Let's get those interval gaps up now. It's only 6/10 per second, really. It's not a massive gap. I think I overhyped that. But we've all seemed to have navigated that without any trouble. Tote was at the back of the field anyway when he had his spin, or as I say that, and Rex has come into some bother as well. He's ghosted and now he's spun round at turn 13, and Lix is in a bit of a drama as well. I saw a couple of arrows flashing up there. Resify and Chris, look at this, neck and neck, side by side, wheel to wheel, all the tropes you like coming down the back straight towards turn 14, and it's Chris who's got the inside line, and there's contact up ahead. You said it was something was going to happen at the hairpin, and I can't even pick out, Jack, what's gone on there. The 2 Ferraris are bumping wheels with Scream and Licks, and someone's got to spun round. Brum's into the pits. Was it Ross we saw that was spun round as well? I think we've got 3 pitters. I can't even remember. Couldn't even pick out what happened there. So much was going on. Alex is fighting from RJ. I wonder if Alex has picked up some damage. I said he got caught up with Evans. He's now dropped way back from Evans, and he's struggling to keep RJ in the Red Bull behind him.
Yeah, it was in fact actually to do with Alex, that whole thing in the hairpin. I think he got tagged from behind by T-Brum. He's then had a half spin. A couple other people then had to break. So I don't know if RJ's one of them that even has potential wing damage, but in fact, yeah, you can see it. Front left end plate for RJ is gone, so he has got damage. He's going to be playing with damage for these next 8 laps. He obviously doesn't want to make a pit stop, but not only that, Brent also behind him has got damage. Both of the Mercedes picked up damage on that contact going down.
Oh, big moment for Brent. Big moment for Brent through turn 10, and then a scream getting on it. And look at the Ferraris. They were dicing away at the start of the lap, and now they've made contact there between 10 and 11. And Matty's pushing the back of Scream through 11 and 12. It's all a bit feisty in there, isn't it? It's only lap 2 of the sprint. Doesn't need to be this aggressive. Rex has dispatched Chris further back, but let's have a look at these Ferraris and what's going on here towards turn 14. Charlie's making the move on Marcio. There's still no DRS here, as Matty's pulling out to have a look at the back of Scream. Nothing doing there, but very deep. You mentioned Brent had damage. He's got caught out, and then he's tagged, I think, by Matty, and he plummets down to P14. Once again, Jack, vindication for you. That hairpin is a right little terrorist today. As here comes Marcio passing Charlie, and I think Taupe is going to do the same to Brent just behind.
Yeah, he certainly has. I think, I don't know if Brent's going to be able to put up that much of a fight either, and yeah, you can really see just how much that front right end plate is hindering him, and yeah, going around the outside Taupe now up into P14 after having a spin on lap number 1. But DRS now enabled. RJ really struggling. As I said, he hasn't been able to keep up with Alex because of that wing damage, and he's now basically got a whole train all aboard the Red Bull train from RJ all the way down to Brent and back of that, and Brent even having damage at the back of that as well. Alex is starting to slightly catch up to the top 6 now, but Ben JS, I'll tell you what, he's got on a second out of Nolan, so Ben is really he's doing an exceptional job at the moment and could potentially be our pole sitter for the feature race and picking up a full 10 points at the moment.
It's looking that way, isn't it? Just dipping into the ERS, 50% for Ben JS, 35 for Nolan. So he's got a ERS advantage in hand as well as a clear time one. And Nolan's going to have to use a lot more of that to try and drag himself back in, because his teammate Larkin and Lifebout are all and Evans in fact are all hanging on his coattails for P2 in this race. Let's have a look further back. I think the Scream is going to have a go, a dart up the inside of RJ here into turn 14. RJ can't find that too hard with the damage that he's got, but he does his best, doesn't he? And he gets nice traction as well. He's going to keep Rezify and Matty frustrated behind him as they come through the last corner, although they look like there might have been a touch of contact there possibly, and Rezify slips through, and I think Matty's going to do the same here towards turn 1, and RJ's lost 3 places for just 2 corners there.
Yeah, very unfortunate for RJ, but there's not much that he can really do, as I said, with that damage. I mean, he could potentially pit just to get rid of the damage, but if anything, he's just going to be more hindered than it's just going to help him. So unless he had no front wing, I'll probably say it'd be best to stay out. I mean, even no front wing we saw in Division 1, that somehow it didn't even really pan well, did it? So yeah, I mean, it's just a case that, there's been a retirement early on in the sprint, and Lick's out of the race.
I was just about to say, actually, that the back 6 cars with the 2 Mercedes, the 2 Alpines and the 2 Alfa Romeos, and but Felix becomes the first retirement in that. Nolan was briefly only 4 tenths clear of Luke at the start of this lap, but clearly he's had a cracking middle sector because he's now stretched his legs, and that gap is hovering around a second, although Luke will still have ERS to use, but Larkin is the one who's looking in the most predatory position, you might say, at the moment, 4 tenths behind Luke. But the trouble is this, we saw this in D1, Jack, earlier on, didn't we? It's a very hard track to overtake on. I say that. Rezify is now passing Scream for P8. The Ferrari's had an eventful race so far, and in fact, Rezify is feeling in such a mood for overtaking, he nearly gave the place back, but he just about holds on there through the 14 and 15, but goes very deep at 16. I wonder, do you think Rezify's picked up some damage from somewhere as RJ comes into the pit lane?
Yeah, so RJ is now into the pits. I'm not too sure. Rezify could have potentially picked up damage as that Screen trying to go around the outside of Rezify. So close. I didn't think there was enough room that was just left there, but literally a car's width, and that screen now back up into 8. Charlie as well, just around on board with him, and Tope and Marcio all still battling it out for P11, 12 and 13 respectively as well. Of course, no points are on offer for the guys outside of the top 10 for the sprint race, but in normal League of Europe points terms, it is for the top 12. So I bet Charlie and Tope probably wish that it was the full race right about now, because then at least they would be in a set of points, but they're not at this present moment. And yeah, as you were saying about there being no really overtaking opportunities, I think we've seen quite a few go on so far within this race, and I get the feeling we're going to see some more go down, because Larkin is so close to the back of Luke. However, Luke managing to just sort of leech onto the back of his teammate for now for getting DRS, so at least he is going to be able to defend from Larkin slightly, but I don't know how long this is going to last. And not only that, Reservoir, I think we're going to see him go for another move, and same with Tope. Tope could try and go for a move on Charlie, so there's definitely a lot to look out for going down on the straight as they go on lap number 5.
Certainly is, and if there was ever a team to play games with DRS and protecting, as we've got, is that Brent has spun, oh no, it's T-Bram, sorry, has spun at turn 10. Reservoir not making the move on this occasion, but if there if there was ever a team that was gonna do their best to strategize and organize, as Charlie's into the pits. That's bizarre. I will finish my thought. It would be the AlphaTaurians, I think, of Felipe and Luke. I think they're very coordinated in the approach they're going to take to this season, but they're not having it their own way. Larkin, you say, is very close to the back of Luke, and I think the closer Larkin gets, the more Nolan will just be happy to back Luke into him. Charlie retires in the pit lane. They do realise that these places count for where they start in the race. Is what's happened there at the back? We've got a spinner. That is ET8 Chris, as doing a little 360 there in the exit of turn 4.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. We've now had another retirement. The T-Bram into the pits, so 3 people retiring in the pits on a sprint race, and even then FRL Charlie was still sitting in 11/12, so I don't know what that retirement was about. I don't know if he had any damage or anything like that, but it didn't look as if he did, because he was still keeping up quite nicely. So again, I don't know what that was about, but interestingly enough, Reservoir didn't actually manage to get past that scrim, as you were saying previously. Another spinner that is, I think, no, it's not serious, it is still 88 Chris once again, going through the snake section, or the S section of the track. Reservoir just losing a bit of straight line speed in comparison to that screen. He's having he seems to be very quick in the straight line, does the German in the Williams. But yeah, Reservoir not able to go for any sort of move, and Matty also just chilling behind his teammate for the time being. Rex also eyeing up a move on Marcio for P12. Of course, not any points on offer for that, but could be seeing a move go down, maybe even on the next straight there, Jake.
Tell you what, just you mentioned in T-Brum and Chris, it's not been a good day, is it, for Eloise returning champions? I speak for myself for Division 1. And then we've got T-Brum retiring. Oh, look at that contact. And that was ill-advised from Reservoir. Why on earth are you sticking your nose up the inside of there, sunshine? And he's given himself some nice licence points for resetting to track in the pause menu, but it plummets him to 13th all the same. He didn't gain anything by resetting to track. He keeps him on the tails of Reservoir. But yes, not a good day. And there is Chris's retirement. So, T-Brum, Chris and myself, all of Eloise returning champions from Season 8. Montana, of course, has departed the league. All have retired at some point today, so there's a fun little factoid for you. And looking ahead, look at Larkin, 3 tenths behind Luke and getting very close to the back of the AlphaTauri in turn 11. And he is starting, I think, to think is the McLaren driver about flexing his little bitty fingers and going for a move here for a rostrum place. Not a proper podium, but here he is. He's using his ERS now. He is going to go for this. Luke's going to use everything he can to defend. He's not got much to defend with. He comes to the inside line. Larkin's going to take the outside. And I wonder if Nolan's going to try box Larkin in here a little bit. In fact, Larkin's not brave enough on the brakes. He'll try and get around the outside. Cuts back underneath to get a run towards 16. But nothing going. Like I said, Jack, I think the closer Larkin gets, the more willing Felipe is just to back them up a little bit and give Luke some extra slipstream. But look at the run Larkin's got of 16 here. Felipe is giving Luke some slip. It's not working, and Larkin's going to try to go around the outside. Oh, clean round the outside, and Luke, I thought from the camera angle there, almost got spun round, and there's still as they drop down the hill of 2 towards 3 and 4. Larkin's got the inside line. I think he's finally going to pull this off, or is Luke going to have a look back towards 6? He's squeezed all the way to the grass, and he's finally has to concede the place, and Larkin parks his car in the middle of the track and says, "You're not coming through left, you're not coming through right," and he stakes his claim on P3, and now I think he's firmly got Felipe in his sights, but he's got no ERS to set him up with.
Yeah, that was very nicely done from Larkin as well, going around the outside of turn number 1, even in have the inside for turn 3 and turn 4, and Sweet Ross also retiring from the session. So it's another one, 5 people DNFing in the sprint race on lap 8 of 10. Not very good to see, I've got to admit. I thought we might see a bit of a redemption arc from Division 4 for tonight, but I think that's just kind of proven wrong, as Matty and Nascream, or in fact Nascream having a spin out of the double left-handers. So the German who was holding off both Matty and Resify, unfortunately for him, has now gone around. He's now back just behind his teammates. It's not all is lost his life, but now going to go down the inside of Luke. Luke now losing yet another position for the within this sprint race. Down the inside goes Life, but the Division 4 jumping up into Division 2 is now on for a sprint race podium, as Luke maybe going to try and go around the outside and towards the final corner. Not going to be able to do that, backs off, and to try and have a bit of a better run. Larkin also had a bit of a shot in the final sector and almost losing out DRS to Nolan, but luckily he does manage to keep within that as well. So this battle for P2 is where it is at the moment. There's nothing to take away rather from Ben JS. 3 seconds up the road from Nolan. Exceptional job within this sprint race, and like I say, I think an early candidate already for a feature race winner at this point, because he is just doing he's just driven away, he's just chilling, he's just doing his own thing.
I wonder if he's a named tip for the title fight at large. Wasn't really anywhere near at any point last season, but he won the penultimate round of last season at Brazil. He's on course for a comfortable sprint race victory here today, and you have to say that a Grand Prix victory may follow with that. There's certainly a very reasonable chance of it. Could he be a title contender? Ended last season strongly, starting this one very strongly as well. Do you think there's a possibility there?
There's definitely a possibility. I've got to admit, there's definitely a possibility that they could work out very well for him. And yeah, I think Ben, he's definitely one that we need to look out for, because I mean, if you have a look at the sprint races as well that are throughout this season, we've got one around China, we've got one around Brazil, which is our final race of the season, and I'm just trying to have a look at the other sprint race, Bahrain, and I know that they are 3 of probably Ben JS's top tracks as well. So he's really been blessed with the calendar for the sprint race. He's going to try and maximise the amount of points that he possibly can. Final lap of the race, Larkin now also trying to challenge Nolan for P2, as Life had a bit of an oversteer moving out of the final corner, probably touching too much on that curb. He's now down into 6th position, losing out to Luke and losing out to Evans. Luke now out of DRS from Larkin as well, so he's now got to worry about behind him with Evans on this final lap. Evans could be looking for a P4 here, but yeah, I mean, Ben JS has driven sublime, and as I said, the sprints are going to pay out in his favour later on down in the season. A couple other races go his way in D2. Definitely a title contender.
Well, the calendar, isn't it? It's quite wheel heavy, but so the paddy sprints sort of offset that, don't they? Evans is someone who just quietly goes about his business. I never seemed to notice him really too much last season. He did me an absolute solid at Abu Dhabi when he won that race, but he's just always there or thereabouts, and he's another one I think that if he puts a run of results together and he gets the motivation going or sustains it, there's no reason he can't contend for this title. I'd say Luke, Evans, Larkin, and probably Ben JS and Felipe. You'd say the people in the top 5 right now are probably the 5 people you'd expect to be there towards the end of the season. Taupe is another one that you'd think would be around there or thereabouts, but let's have a look. We have got the matter of second place to settle before this race ends, but Larkin doesn't have the speed differential he needs to outbrake Felipe into turn 14. But what about Luke and Evans? Evans going to have a look up the outside here, forces Luke a little bit deeper, will try cut back underneath. Instead there's contact between them, and that contact in the end spares Luke's blushes, but it's going to be QVR Koskapen. That is Ben JS winning the China sprint race, Felipe second, Larkin third. Luke completes row 2, Evans and Lifebout on row 3. Lifebout could have had a case of what would have been for him. Alex the G takes P7, a lowly race for him. Matty on row 4, Taupe and Scream, the 2 Williams drivers, lock out row 5. Rex in 11th, Resify in 12th, Marcio 13th, Brent 14th, and RJ is going to be our last finish today, although he may just nab P14 off the back of Brent, not for points, only for that last starting position. And then definitely now with that second penalty, but and then Ross, Chris and Lix and whoever else it was, Charlie, T-Brum, all of that lot, inexplicably retiring and giving up crucial starting position in the Grand Prix.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm surprised at a couple of retirees, I can't lie. They did really surprise me, the fact that they're going to be starting towards the back when they probably could have been starting in the midfield. I don't know if that's a thing that they want to do, but I mean, that is the way it goes, I suppose. But Mr. QBR Koskapen on pole for the feature race, or Ben JS, shall I say, on pole for the feature race. Nolan in second once again, Larkin in third, Luke in fourth, Joshua in fifth. Lifebound in sixth, Alex G in seventh, Matty in eighth, Toby in ninth, and Screen picking up the final point in the sprint for the top 10. Rex in 11th, Reza Fight in 12th on the 6th row, Marcio in 13th, RJ in 14th, Brent in 15th, Swing Russ in 16th, Chris in 17th, Charlie in 18th, T-Bro in 19th, and Licks rounding out the very back of the grid. For the feature race, could be a bit of an interesting one there, Jake, I'm not going to lie, but those front five, I think, or front six, shall I say, even really proved this could be a very spicy one.
It could be. I'm just trying to hastily calculate in my head what that's done to the championship. Alex the G has 29 points now, having taken 4 in the sprint. Felipe took 9 out of a possible 10, so he moves on to 27 points. So he's narrowed Alex the G's lead to 2 points. T-Brum was third after his opponent at Silverstone. He just dropped, I would presume. Evans assumes third in the championship. I think he finished P4, so he's now on to 19 points. Luke will be on around 15. So all that's really done for the championship is it's seen T-Brum drop a couple of places. Evans and Luke move up. I think Larkin may have gained a place or two as well, but it's still Alex the G that's hanging on to that championship lead, albeit only by 2 points. But I feel like I'm overhyping that at this point, Jack, because we've not even started the second race of the season, but it's fun to deal in hypotheticals.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with you that it is good to, try and have a think about the future. There's no harm in going ahead with that. I sound like I'm giving some sort of TED talk, but I promise you I'm not. I think it's going to be an interesting season because it's looking like Nolan, if he doesn't end up actually bottling it like he was last season, he's definitely got a good shout. I can't lie to you. Even though even if he doesn't really even win a race at all this season, I still feel like he's actually got a pretty decent shout of a title contention, even Constructors Champion as well, because I mean him and Luke have been very dominant. Even last season they were very good, they worked very well together. Obviously they were battling with you and Larkin for the championship, the Constructors Champion, shall I say. Obviously you guys tipped it ahead of those guys, but now that obviously Miami's not even here this evening, so once Miami starts to come into it, then the McLarens are then going to look a bit stronger. But at the moment, Larkin just trying to do whatever he can to pick up any sort of points for the McLarens. At the moment, the AlphaTauris, I think they're going to be the ones running away with it. And not only that, both of the Red Bulls weren't even here last week. Both were filled in with reserve drivers. So both Ben JS and RJ in first and 14th. At least Ben will be picking up a decent set of points. RJ could probably make up a couple of moves, but yeah, there's all to play for. If we're thinking about the future, I think there's only a couple of teams I can really sort of think would do well. The AlphaTauris, the McLarens, and I would even maybe count potentially the Williams guys. Like Tope, we've seen what he can be about, and same with that Scream. To be fair, I would also vote with Aston Martin. Evans has had a very good start, and Charlie, we've seen what pace he can be capable of as well, as long as he keeps it on track. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen, and that's why we love partaking and watching sport and esports and any kind of entertainment. I am rambling. I do feel sorry for Larkin a little bit because he's got no teammate. He's also got no Jeff because they're both commentating this race right now. He's also said he's got pins and needles in his hands after overtaking Luke. He couldn't feel them. I'm going to annoy people here because I've not put the tyres on before starting the race, which I've done for our own amusement as much as anything. We'll see how that shakes out. Let's take the interval gaps off as everyone comes into position now. We've got Licks bringing up the rear of the field. Charlie said in stream chat, he said he deliberately retired from the session in order to avoid starting in the middle where all the chaos is. So he's generously going to start at the back and cause it instead. We have got 28 laps ahead of us, more than 10 this time. We've got Koskapen on pole on the right of your screen, Felipe on the P2 alongside him, Larkin and Luke in behind. We've got 5 red lights ahead of us, and for the Division 2 Chinese Grand Prix, we are underway, and it looked like Koskappen got a good start, but I think a better start for Felipe. Straight into the lead for the AlphaTauri. Larkin's going to try and go up the inside, outside there. Evans is having a look in as well. He's in P4, and Larkin on the medium tires is going to try to go clean around the outside of Luke. Switches to the inside as they drop down the hill. Alex is trying to make a move in the other McLaren behind as well. I think Larkin has played that well. He's got P2 ahead, but look at Luke, is under so much pressure in behind. He's got Lifeboat Alex the G jostling away behind him. Is anyone going to have a look into turn 6? Alex goes around the outside. Look at Rex going around the outside as they concertina up. Lifeboat hit the back of Luke, and Alex just drove clean through there into P5 as they all hit a bit of a choke point really on the apex of 6, and we've got Matty and Rex here side by side through turn 7 into 8, and then the double left-hander of 9 and 10 as they will finally sort themselves out. Let's get the interval gaps up and let's put the tyres on as well. We've only got a few medium runners: Scream, Licks, Resify and Larkin. Everyone else on the hards, but for the second time today, Jack, we've had a cleanish start as there goes Resify battling away with Taupe through turns 11 and 12, and Resify making the move on the medium tyres he needed to make around the outside as they come onto the banking.
Yeah, lovely stuff from Resify. Obviously, like I say though, we're coming up to this elusive hairpin, and we've seen what happened in the sprint. It's the same thing going to happen within this feature race. Larkin's closing up to the back of Nolan, going down in towards the hairpin, not going to be able to go for any sort of move. Life back down the inside of Matty, in towards the hairpin as well. I think he's going to get that move done. Matty just taking a bit too much curb on that hairpin, and yeah, Life back now up into 7th position. Matty now down into 8th, a lot cleaner through that hairpin this time around as well, Jake. So yeah, manages to do that very well. Licks has a little bit of a moment out of that final corner, but yeah, very clean throughout the whole of lap 1.
Larkin into the lead. Yeah. Larkin into the lead. We didn't get the green arrow, but we got the red one from Felipe being demoted. I wonder if he decided to let that one go on knowing he was on, in theory, the preferable strategy. And now the onus, the impetus is on Larkin to try and run away and gap the rest of the field while he can, because he is the lead medium runner. The next medium runner is down in 10th place. It's Resify, so Larkin needs to get his a shift on and try and gap Felipe before some DRS comes into effect on the next lap. Chris has had a spin on the exit of turn 6, or a half spin. I think he collected the screen with him. Something going on down there, and Charlie's strategy of avoiding all the carnage hasn't really worked, has it? Because there was no carnage, so serves you right for trying to retire in the sprint and nearly ploughing into the back of the screen there through turn 9. It's only for 19th place, but it's entertainment nonetheless. And Resify is providing the action once again, as he was at turn 12 on the last lap. Here he goes on the mediums, trying to go around the outside of Rex now. He did it last time to Taupe, he's done it to the Alfa Romeo this time, just about keeps the car in bounds, and twice, 2 laps in a row, he's pulled off the exact same move there, but Rex is going to come back at him. He's got the slipstream down towards turn 14, won't we see any hairpin shenanigans this time around. Rex is through. Resify, is he going to try outbrake him or cut back underneath? He's going to try to go around the outside is the Ferrari, and he outdrags the Alfa Romeo, I think, towards turn 16. This one's not over yet. Can we get a good camera angle, please? And nearly contact between them. Resify just had to back out at the very last moment, and there was I saw some arrows going away in the background there, and you can see it here with, who is that? It's the Alpine of Chris, and behind him Charlie and Licks into turn 1. A bit of madness on that lap, but still, Jack, everyone's got a full complement of carbon fibre on the front of their cars.
Yeah, it was very nicely done, especially this battle between Rex and Resify as well. Very clean racing between the two IRC boys as well. Not only that, I don't think this battle is done. Resify going to maybe try and go around the outside of Rex, down through turn number 6. Rex is going to have that inside Resify, maybe going to try and go for a bit of a cut back and go for the better traction out of the corner, but not going to be able to get the move done whatsoever. Nolan as well, now dropping out of 1 second from Larkin on those medium compound tyre, but of course he will have that better advantage coming towards the end of the race. Ben JS now going to try and eye up a move on Nolan for P2. Evans as well, having a big start. What's going on?
Resify just had a big snap through turn 10, went clean off the track, didn't lose any time in the process, but that was nearly a car crash. That's what I did in Division 1 when I speared into the left-hand wall on the exit at 10. Sorry, you as you were, Jack.
Yeah, so Resify now going to maybe try and eye up a move on Rex, although saying that Rex, though he's not even in fact using any of his ERS, but his car just looks very quick in a straight line for the American. Ben JS not going for a move on Nolan as of yet. However, we are going to have another DRS zone going down in towards turn 1. Larkin just pulling away from the rest of the grid now on those medium compound tyre. He's utilising these mediums to perfection at the moment. And here we go, Ben JS. We're going to see him move go down in towards turn number 1. He's closing up to the back of the AlphaTauri. Not going to be able to go for any sort of move at the moment. Is he going to try and up and move around the outside to have the inside for turn number 3? Sorry, I don't think he is at the moment. So yeah, Ben just going to hold off back behind the sister team AlphaTauri, just behind him at the moment. Evans now also back within DRS of Ben JS. He's going to be at least he's going to have that rear wing open and have that protection from Alex the G all over the back of him. Our sprint race pole sitter though, or our one-shot quality pole sitter, should I say, Luke, sitting down in 6th position. Not a good start from him, especially from sprint, and even in his feature race, I mean, dropping down a couple of positions himself.
Yeah, it's not been a particularly rosy evening, has it? It's a bit reminds me of Abu Dhabi last season when I got pole on the original start on the one shot, and then I got 5th in the restart, and then I was like 8th in the sprint and 9th in the Grand Prix. It was just went from bad to worse after in the sprint races can do that. They are a much more of a multi-stage event than just a normal thing. You've got 3 parts to get right rather than 2. Koskapen was very close to Nolan. It's about 3 tenths behind. It's now slipped to 6 tenths of a second, as it is from Koskapen to Evans, as it is from Evans to Alex, as it almost is from Alex to Luke. It's very much, as I like to say, in a holding pattern right now. Larkin continuing to extend up front. 2.4 seconds now is the gap, and as Nolan has to increasingly divert his attention behind him, that in theory should play the McLaren driver's hands up front as we start lap 5 here. No one's looking particularly close. Actually, no, it's that man Reservoir again. He's 2 tenths behind Rex towards turn 1, but Rex has DRS and the tyre. Any advantage he might have is neutralised. Reservoir is struggling to make the most of those medium tyres after having an adventurous first couple of laps. He can't make the progress he needs to make, and when he finds himself on the hard tyres in the second part of the race, everyone else is on the mediums, you can't help but feel he's going to get a little bit mugged off by everyone as we come towards turn 6. Is he going to shape to make a move? No, he's not. He's not even thinking about it on this lap. And the only other battle we're seeing right now was between Dascream and Lix for P17. But ahead of them, Jack, nothing really happening right now.
No, not really. And I'll tell you what, though, I think something is going to start to... I think something is going to start to happen very soon, because if you have a look, Evans is almost dropping out of DRS and Ben JS at the moment, and Ben is a lot closer now than what he was last lap to the back of Nolan. So are we going to see Ben go for a move on Nolan? Maybe not, because he's just made that slight little twitch coming onto the long DRS straight now as well. He's using a bit of VRS to try and close up to the back of him. I think he's keeping this on. He wants to go for this move on Nolan ASAP. He wants to take the lead for the hard tyres. Nolan's going to go defensive on the inside. No, he moves back onto the racing line, but Ben JS, just that car is not looking as quick in a straight line in comparison to what Nolan's is at the moment, which is very weird to say, because Ben JS is always known for having a very quick car in a very quick straight line. Rex getting overtaken by Reservoir and Brent, and point switching positions as well. So Reservoir still trying to utilise his medium compounder tyre. Hasn't really done what he has before
into the wall
with Larkin as all. That is him into the wall of Rex, and around the outside goes Koskapen on Nolan, and there is
Charlie's gone as well.
car.
Charlie went as well, did the exact same thing Rex did, only this time Charlie's kept his front wing, and he's going to have to do a full lap before he can rejoin. Was Benjes just about to make the move there, or was it just got quite close?
He was. They were both side by side going through turn 1. I think Nolan had the inside, but I think Ben just at the end of that though. I think he wouldn't have been able to get the move done. I think Nolan had it covered off very well on the inside, but yeah. And then the actual safety car, sorry, it just came out from that. So Larkin, I would say more than anything, has really been blessed, because I'm pretty sure he can take the hards to the end of the race, if I'm not mistaken, Jake.
He can. I'm just way up in my head the extent to which this is a blessing for Larkin, because he could stay out. If he were to stay out, he would lose his lead, but he would keep track position. Were he to pit, he would be done for the day in terms of pit stops, but he would have atrocious track position, because no one apart from, that's one of the medium runners, Reservoir, Scream, Lix and Chris would pit. So Larkin would find himself in what, 15th position, with the other 14 cars directly in front of him, and he would have to make those moves on track if he was to retain any kind of, sort of undercut advantage and fend off the mediums towards the end of the race. If I was Larkin, I would prefer this in about 3 or 4 laps time. I don't think he'll be completely happy to have it right now. because the mediums can go a long way. We saw in D1 people pitting on lap 13 out of 15 for hards to mediums, and Larkin is staying out. He's wanting to extend the stint rather than come in, and I get that. I would understand if he'd done it either way, to be honest. I'd understand staying out, I'd understand coming in. Resify's coming in, but Larkin's staying out. And if you can do 15 laps on the mediums, coming in on lap 6 does feel like you're shortchanging yourself a little bit for the rest of the race.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that as well. So either way, like you say, would have worked really. Charlie's also followed him in, but the rest of the medium runners have come in. In fact, Charlie's retired from the session, which I don't know why he's done that, considering that there is a safety car. It would be very easy to catch up to the back. I mean, he was saying he'd be at the back of it, but I'm quite surprised that he's retired from the session. But Larkin will still maintain the lead of the race. I don't think he'll be too happy that a safety car's actually come out, because then it's going to hinder his lead that he had to the rest, to the rest of the grid behind him. Obviously, Nolan and Ben JS were both battling that out fearlessly, whilst he was about 3 seconds in the lead of the race. And now Larkin, I mean, he can take these mediums a bit longer, but now Resify, Das Scream and Lix and Chris are all going to be sitting in a pretty position at the moment as well, Jake. It means that Resify could technically be our net race leader, down in 15th position, like you say, because he doesn't really have to make a stop anymore.
He doesn't, and it will be interesting to see where he shapes out in this race. In theory, he's the net leader, isn't he? Which is crazy, but it's about, I think, about 22, 23 seconds for a stop, if I remember from D1 or something like that, and he's 9 seconds off the lead. That'll spread out pretty quickly after the safety car goes in. But point remains, Larkin's got to gain about 12 or 13 seconds on Resify to be net ahead of him. And the same goes to everyone else. It could be that we're looking for the second part of this race, a situation where it's Resify just slowly creeps in first place and slowly falling down from there all the way to the end of the race. Unless he keeps the tyres in well. We haven't seen really what Resify's ultimate pace is. I feel like he's been in traffic for the entire day. Yeah, it's an interesting one. And he's passed RJ. RJ's coming into the pits. Let's see if that's for damage, because surely RJ can't be coming in for medium or to switch to a 2-stop. That would make absolutely no sense. It's got to be a wing change. And it's not a wing change, he's just coming in for mediums. Okay, that's brave. I respect it. If you're in that situation, you may as well do something different, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. It means it'll be at the back of the grid. Well, you'll still be ahead of Chris, which is the main thing. But yeah, I mean, he probably thinks that there is going to be another safety car coming out, and probably around sort of lap 15, lap 16. I think he probably hopes that it'll probably come out around lap 21, lap 22, so he can chuck on a set of the softs to go to the end of the race. But yeah, I don't know why he thought it was best to make a pit stop that early. But yeah, as you say, with Larkin, is either way, it was really going to be a right decision of what he would have done. If it was the case that he would have pit, if it was the case he wouldn't have just stayed out, which he's decided to stay out. Let's just see if it's just going to pan for him though, because he needs to have a good safety car restart. He needs to hope that Nolan is absolutely sleeping on a very nice cold bed and very nice cold pillows in order for Larkin to get away on this safety car restart. Now, how is he going to be able to take this one? He looks like he is going very, 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 very slowly, coming onto the DRS straight through turn number 13. So Larkin, is he going to be able to get a good restart? Is he going to be able to try and get that gap that he had on Nolan about 6 laps ago, to take those mediums to about lap 15, to go to hards for another 12 or 13 odd laps, and try and capitalise on a win? Or is Nolan going to be able to read this perfectly? Is he going to be able to keep up with Larkin and then have the advantage come towards the end of the race? Jake, I think we're in for a good one here.
I think we're in for an absolute treat, and Larkin, it's his prerogative obviously when he goes, and he's able to go from the minute the safety car hits the pit lane entry line, which will be in about 3, 2, 1 now, and as soon as it has happened, Larkin is hit into turn 14, and when you go in the braking zone like that, it can really catch people out, and he's already gained 0.7 of a second on Nolan, who's got Koskappen for very close company through turn 60. How nervy are people looking through that last corner as their first approach at speed in a couple of laps? And it is going to be Koskappen, who was right on the back of Nolan when the safety car came out, who's going to resume hostilities with the AlphaTauri through turn 1 this lap. And look at Evans Joshua in this as well. It's a proper three-way scrap this for P2 as they come through turn 2. And Nolan isn't looking the happiest bunny on this restart. I can't see any other changes of position happening further behind. Let's go on to interval gaps instead. Lifebout's looking close to the back of Luke. Actually, no, not really. T-Brum close-ish to Tope, but really at the back of the field, they are very strung out. It's all about Felipe, Koskappen and Evans. And Felipe, he's 1.3 seconds behind Larkin already. Larkin in 2 sectors, not even that, is pulled back. Contact there between Evans and Koskappen, and that was opportunism in the extreme from Evans. He barged his way through with tremendous aggression, and perhaps you could say he stepped over the line a little bit, but he's pulled turn P3 there. And I wonder if that came from a little Koskappen mistake, because that's not normally, Jack, where you see overtaking. But Larkin, 1.6 seconds clear already. He's pulled back more than half of the deficit that he'd lost before the safety car.
Yeah, he certainly has. I'll tell you what happened though. Evans went around the outside on the S section on Mr. QBR Ben JS, and they were both side by side for the double lefts. Evans had the inside, and Alex now going around the outside of Ben, going down in towards the hairpin. Ben's going to try and hold it down the inside. Alex going to try and hold it around the outside, forces the McLaren out. As I don't think Alex will be too happy with that move, as Luke is now maybe going to try and eye up a move on Alex for P5, but doesn't look to go for a move. The NLR driver now going a little bit wide out of the final corner, and now really put under pressure from the RAL driver behind him, but I think Alex has been able to hold on to the P5 of this race. But yeah, Evans going around the outside of the S section. I've got to admit, it was a very nice move at first, and then it kind of just got a bit scrappy towards the end of it. Ben unfortunately tried holding it around the outside, but I think Evans, I think it was more just to do that. It was his corner in the end. And yeah, unfortunately for Ben JS, he's now dropped down into P4. Needs to try and maybe go for a move on Alex quick, as Marcio is out of the race, out of turn number 3. He has dropped it on traction, and that is another safety car. Now this has got to be the time where Larkin's got to pit.
Yeah, I think Larkin's going to pit, and I wonder, are the hard runners may as well pit here as well? If you can do 15 laps on the medium, surely you could do 15 laps plus 3 under the car. Surely. I mean, that's probably a stretch, but yeah. You'd expect there might be someone that tries it, that's seen D1 and thought, oh, if they pit lap 13, I can pit lap 10 with the safety car. I'm not sure I would necessarily do it. But it does open the window for some of the hard runners maybe to go hard soft. I don't think that's necessarily viable, but people think weird things when they're doing league racing. I commentated the season in Division 5, and there's a reason that no longer exists. But yeah, Larkin's got to come in this lap shortly.
Surely, yeah. No, I'm with you. I would have thought he'd be in at the end of this lap. If he doesn't, I will be very surprised. So let's have a look on our race leader. I was going to say our race reader. On our race leader, is he making his way into the pits? Yes, he certainly is. Is Nolan going to follow suit? Yes, he is as well. Evans also coming in. Ben JS also coming in. Alex coming in. Luke is also more than likely going to come in as well. He's got
Luke will get held.
To Nolan. He's got a little bit of a gap to Nolan though, so I feel like he might be okay. I think that's why he's going a little bit slow going into the pits, just so he's not going to get held up as much by Nolan. So if he does, Larkin's not going to be on the hards, and I think this could be a bit of an interesting one.
Usually, if you come and say, like, regardless of how close you are, there's a little hold, and there was a very tiny hold there for Luke. I think it's going to cost him 2 lifebout. Potentially, where's he going to come out? He is going to come out. He's going to go out Matty and behind lifeboat. So he's lost 2 places there from a tiny hold. I think even if you're like 6 seconds behind, there is still, for some reason, a customary hold where the rear jackman doesn't move out of the way until you arrive at the pit box. Doesn't matter how big the gap is if you come in the same lap. Well, that's been my experience, and it is cost them. And Evans has jumped Koskappen, or did that happen on track? Did that happen on track, or did that happen in the pit lane? So I have a fever dream. That was on track, okay. Oh yes, it was, wasn't it? Yeah. Ignore me. Yeah, I just blanked. I blacked out for the last 3 minutes of the race. So we've got only the top 1, that is Tope, has not pitted. Resify assumes the net lead of the race, Scream assumes a net P2, and RJ, who's doing the Hail Mary NFL divisional playoffs this weekend, of strategies, going very long on the mediums. It will take them, 20 laps to the end of the race. He's in P4 right now and Lick's in P5. So if Larkin, Nolan, et al. Want to win this race, Jack, they have got to do it on track. And I wouldn't say that safety car has particularly helped Larkin, has it? Because it's only brought these other guys into play, not just for to be an irritation, but for victory itself.
Well, I suppose now it's a case of what ifs, because if Larkin had pit, he would be in second position and he'd be ahead of Reservoir, be ahead of the Scream, ahead of RJ, in second, right behind Toad, made his pit stop, be in that race lead. That's it, ifs, buts and maybes, isn't it? That's the whole point of it. It's always nice to dwell on it. So, yeah, Larkin now down into sixth. He's got to make the moves on Licks, on RJ, on that Scream, on Reservoir. Toad obviously still will need to make a pit stop, but he will inherit our race lead. Chris back into the pit to change his tyres to probably a set of mediums to go to the end of the race. I don't know if he again put him on softs or if he put himself on softs to change his tyres again, but yeah, he will definitely go on either a set of mediums or a set of hards to go to the end of the race. Yeah, it'll be a set of mediums. So yeah, I'm intrigued on how this may play out. I'm intrigued if Larkin's going to be able to make any sort of moves up like he was before in the medium tyres, or if he's going to be absolutely swamped by the rest of the medium runners behind. My guess, though, is the latter. I feel like Larkin is going to be swamped by the rest of the medium runners.
It depends on, I think, the desperation of Felipe, Evans, cost cap, and how, not necessarily short-sighted they are, but whether they think it's a move they need to make now and then deal with the people who pitted early on, or if they think, you know what, let's follow Larkin through, wait until Larkin's through Reservoir, he's through Scream, he's through RJ, he's through Legs, wait until they're all out of the way, get Larkin isolated, and then have a crack at him. That's the decision to make. I don't think there's necessarily a right outcome there. I don't think it's you being too headstrong if Nolan tries to have a go at Larkin into turn one. But also, likewise, I understand if he's a little more circumspect and waits until Larkin tries to, or until they collectively clear some of the, not traffic, but early stoppers ahead of them, if indeed they are able to. I think those hard runners, I think they'll all be they'll find those 4 cars ahead of them. I think they'll find them very difficult to overtake, you know. I think Reservoir, Scream, RJ and Licks will present a significant challenge to everyone behind them. It wouldn't surprise me if we see Larkin, Felipe and Evans struggle to clear all of them between them. I think we could see at least one of those people, if not 2 or 3 of them, on the podium by the end of this race.
We definitely could. I feel like now Reservoir is really the one in the driving seat. Of course, Tope is the one that's leading us through the safety car restart. And when is the German going to opt to go? Obviously, the safety car is just making its way into the pit lane now. And Reservoir giving a bit of a gap to Tope from the looks of things. Even coming through the hairpin, I think Tope is now gone. Yeah, Tope is gone. And Reservoir has kind of been left for dust. Compared to his IRT competitor out in front of him, that Scream might even now be in a bit more of a driving seat. And saying that though, he had a bit of a bad final corner. It now opts on for RJ to maybe try and go for a move, but he doesn't look as if he will be going for it. Larkin having a very good restart on that as well, as Evans probably having the best one of the lot of them in that top 8. All over the back of Nolan going through turn number 1, but I don't think any moves are going to go down at the moment. Now Larkin is the one that needs to try and keep an eye out on behind him. He drove away as much as he could as all that's Licks around. Licks around, and don't think he's managed to collect anybody, so that's good to see. As Ben JS going around the outside of Evans down in towards turn 6. Oh, he tried to move out in front of him to try and back out of Nolan, and Evans kept down that inside. That was more on Ben for sure. He should have probably tried to just ease off on that as much as possible. Shouldn't have tried to move on that right, especially if Evans was still there. So yeah, that is more definitely on Ben than on Evans, to say the least. But RJ now all over the back of that screen for that P3 and the 2 IRT boys. I think we're going to see a change of position going down on the straight, AJ.
I think we are. This is a nice setup for Reservoir. He's got an IRT teammate ahead. Oh, sorry, it's a nice setup for Scream. He's got... No, actually, ignore that. That doesn't work out. Terrible commentary. Nolan looking very close to the back of Larkin. In fact, he's going for it. He's dropping all of his airs, and then some. He's going to make this move towards turn 14, and RJ is going to do the same on that Scream. Felipe assumes it's not a net lead of the race, it's a net P4 once Tope comes into the pits. Look at the head of them. RJ and Scream still going at it through 15 towards 16 as RJ just going to have to concede he is on this occasion, and for the lead of the race as well. Resify is now through, and Felipe though up into P5, but he's used a lot more errs. He's down to 46%, 68% for Larkin as RJ is going to make this move through into turn 1, but they've already allowed Resify to and contact there between Nolan and Scream, and Larkin's going to get tagged by Evans in that. Alex the G's going to have a look as well. We're looking back from RJ, and here comes Nolan. He's going to come through turn 5 on their Scream. Is their Scream going to switch back? No, it's Larkin. He's going to surge up the inside there into turn 6. Larkin makes a crucial move there as Scream narrowly avoids contact from Evans, and look at Alex the G, he's thinking, leave me some space, man, and then he surges up the inside of the pair of them through turn 7. That is a sensational move from our championship leader up into P6. He's been completely anonymous today as there's more argy-bargy behind, and Scream tried to tag the inside of Evans, got completely caught out by it, lost a handful of places to Lifebout as well, and Luke and Matty and all bottling up behind them as well. Nearly contact there as Matty's looking at the back of Scream through turn 11. But RJ is now setting his sights up for another move on the back of IRT Taupe. Resify is 2 seconds clear. The Scream is gone through turn 13. Here comes RJ for P2 in this race, and we've got a full safety car again. Oh dear.
Is going to be quite far back. I think he's going to be at the back of this grid, probably going on a set of the medium tyres, but he'll have the freshest ones. So yeah, I think Taupe is really now, even though he stayed out, I think it was a safety car too late that he stayed out for. Resify had a very good restart, got away from RJ, who was fighting, of course, as well with that Scream. That Scream now gone around, as you said, double stacking with his teammate Taupe as well, and yeah, I didn't actually quite catch what had happened with those guys, but yeah, it was very unfortunate to see for certain, and yeah, Resify I think is still going to maintain the lead of the race, but Nolan getting past Larkin is crucial for the podium, because now it gives Nolan a prime opportunity to not only get past RJ but to get that lead of the race on Resify, and potentially get his first League of Europe win in Division 2.
Yeah, indeed. He's won a few in Division 4, but the Division 2 victory has long eluded him, as the podium did for a long time as well. I had my part to play in that. Because we've got a third safety car to fill, I'll throw a question to the room, and the room be just you. Forza Brendan is in the stream chat, and he said that's heartbreaking for Ben in relation to his skirmish over the grass at turn 6. I don't know if this is a controversial or a hot take or not, but I've got absolutely no sympathy for Ben. It was completely his own fault. He ploughed into the back of Nolan, took himself out of the race in effect. I don't have sympathy for those fans. If it was misfortune, if he'd been taken out, then I'd be like, oh yeah, it's heartbreaking. But I don't have... Maybe I'm just a cold, heartless barstool, but I don't have sympathy for those sort of sporting situations where it's your own fault. I didn't look at I don't know, just a sporting tragedy that's someone's fault. I don't know. You don't look at David Beckham getting sent off against David Simeone in 1998 against Argentina and think, well, that's heartbreaking for David Beckham. It's not heartbreaking for him. He shouldn't have done it. That's my opinion. Where do you stand on that? Is that heartbreaking, or can it be heartbreaking and stupid?
Yeah, no, I think it could definitely be heartbreaking and stupid, considering the fact that he started on pole in this race and was battling it all throughout the field, or throughout the whole of like the top 4, top 5. He's now dropped down, of course, to 12. I think that's the heartbreaking side, but at the same time, as you say, it was his fault. So that's the stupidity side of that. And I see your point. I see Brendan's point. I sound like I'm getting splinters by sitting on this fence too much, but I do see both sides of it. Yeah, definitely Ben's fault from what happened with him and Evans. He's put himself there. He picked up a 3-second penalty, I think, from skidding across the grass, so I think that might be getting removed unless he picks up another warning. but I won't be surprised if that 3 seconds gets removed at the end of the race if he puts the stewards report in for that. But yeah, Reservoir, like I say, he's got a lot he needs to try and handle now. Not only RJ behind him on the mediums, but now Nolan around behind him on the mediums. Larkin was that little safety barrier for Reservoir and RJ, but now he's gotten past, and it's now up to Nolan. As I say, he's the one now in that driving seat of getting past RJ, of getting past Reservoir to get this lead of the race, and as I say, to get this win for Division 2. Not only that, Larkin could still play up a fight. The thing is that this safety car is going to be helping these medium runners massively on their tyre saving.
It is, but see, I still think the medium pitters will be in a tricky spot come the end of the race. Not that bad, but they certainly, I think they'll be slower than Larkin on the hards. And is anyone else on the hards of comparable age? No, Larkin's the only person who pitted under that safety car, that particular safety car for hards. I just excuse me. Never speak while you sneeze, kids, because it comes up. Anyway, Reservoir, when's he going to go? He'll get the message will say at the top of the screen, safety car in this lap. When that message changes to prepare to resume racing, no overtaking, is when it's up to him when he goes and when he'll no longer be limited by the games. It looks like he cut turn 14 there, the hairpin. Safety car is in the pit lane now, so it is in his prerogative when he goes, and he's gone now. Gap is half a second. It's not the most dramatic of safety car restarts we've seen, but look at Larkin all over the back of Felipe. No, sorry, that was Alex the G over the back of Larkin around the last corner. But once again, as we've seen on pretty much all of the starts, they have been quite clean, and the order is as you were. Evans is looking the most fired up, shall we say, on the back of Alex the G. Koskappen makes a move and his comeback going around the outside of Sweeros at turn 4.
Larkin.
And Larkin has spun coming out of turn 4 himself, and he's going to drop down to 16th place here. Unlucky, he had an eventful race last week as Felipe makes his way through for P2, and Alex the G passes Evans at turn 6 also for P4 in this race, but they're still going at it in towards turn 7, and one of these drivers is going to have to back out and concede. It is Evans in the end. We saw Larkin have a spin last week that cost him dearly on his fight back from the back of the field, and Evans taps Alex the G through turn 9 there. He's had another critical error today. That's not the kind of mistakes you can make if you want to be a D2 champion, and he knows what that takes. He has won a title before in season 7, I think it was 7, but he's down in 17th place now on unfavourable tyres. He's now hoping for a 4th safety car in this race. But up ahead, it's looking like it could be going the way of AlphaTauri. It's not gone well for Luke today, but it could be oh so sweet and beautiful for Ariel Felipe.
It certainly could be. Danny and Psycho's T-Brum down in towards the hairpin. Ben JS as well, eyeing up the back of Brent. One Mercedes making a move, the other having to go a bit defensive. T-Brum now up into 11th, passing Sweet Ross for 12th position as well. The relentless driver now losing the RS team behind him as Reservoir and Nolan going around the outside of turn 1 for the lead of the race. Reservoir now down into 2nd. Nolan now up into the lead of the race, and this is going to allow him to just drive away. The other medium runners have not been able to capitalise on what Nolan's basically done, and now he can just run away from the rest of them.
Yeah, Alex the G's got 2 people between himself and Felipe. He's the next driver on comparable tyres. Felipe nearly, I don't know if there even was contact. From our point of view, we were right on board with Reservoir. It looks so close as to Reservoir just touching that rear right corner of the AlphaTauri and tipping it round like a spinning top, but Nolan escaped, and he's escaped by over a second now in the lead of the race. Alex the G needs to get these moves done sharpish. He's the only person really you'd say is in a position to threaten Felipe's victory in waiting here. Evans and Lifebout not really looking too quick either, and we've got no one looking to make a move this lap. Koskappen is close to the back of Brent, but not particularly. Everyone's within DRS apart from Sweeros, were we to get on to the next lap, and T-Brum as well. Reservoir has dragged himself back to within a second. I wonder if we might get, we've still got 10 laps to go in this race. I wonder if it could eventually come back towards Reservoir. Like, Nolan's on 6%, he's used everything on that lap. And Reservoir's now got himself within a second. I don't know if this is completely completely over yet?
There's a chance it may not be. However, I do feel like Reservoir needs to try and keep within a second of Nolan. If he can do that, then probably like 26, 27, 28, Nolan's then going to find it very, very difficult to hold on to the back, or to hold on to the win of the race ahead of Reservoir. However, if Nolan can drop Reservoir, as Larkin and Askren going at it for the final position, the wooden spoon, shall we say, of the finishers, Larkin now up into 16th ahead of that screen. But yeah, if Nolan can get 1 second out of Reservoir, Nolan's definitely got a good chance of winning this race. If he doesn't, which it doesn't look as if he has, Reservoir he's definitely not out of it. He's definitely not out of it. RJ as well, he's managed to keep within a second. However, Alex the G is all over the back of the Red Bull, but RJ's got more ERS to play with. He might have pre-lap older tyres, but I think RJ, with that Hail Mary, I think it's working for him, AJ. I think he definitely could be on the podium.
I think he could, but he needs the DRS to work in his favour. I think if he gets gapped by Reservoir, he's in a pickle. Half a second right now, as Reservoir did grab DRS off the back of Nolan, but he's not going to get it down towards turn 1. So perhaps that might just be the race win for Nolan right there, that he has got that second. RJ's got 40% ERS as well. He's got more than anybody around him. 8% for Nolan, 19% for Reservoir, 41% for RJ, 33 for Alex, 35 for Evans. Lifeboat is sitting cozy and comfy, living his best life in P6 with 91%. Yeah, RJ's he's in a favourable position. It's just the tyres aren't working for him right now. As Koskappen dispatches, no, he's not dispatching. He's having a go at dispatching. DTR Brent and Neely having, I think, nightmares there. Flashbacks to his previous attempts to get past someone at turn 6. This time he backs out early enough and resumes P10.
I feel like that's a Division 3 battle that I've seen in the past that I might have even potentially been involved in with those two. But yeah, very close between Brent and between Ben JS as well. But yeah, look at that. Nolan 1.3 seconds now ahead of Reservoir. He's got that 1 second gap he needed ahead of the IRT driver. Now it's up to Nolan to try and preserve a bit of ERS in case he does have to try and defend from Reservoir in the latter stages of the race when those car tyres are going to be coming back for the Ferrari driver. However, he's now going to be put under pressure from RJ behind him, and Reservoir is using everything he can to try and get himself back within DRS of Nolan, but it's just not enough for the Ferrari, and RJ is now going to try and apply that pressure on Reservoir. Still this battle going on for P9 as Ben JS going around the outside of the hairpin on Brent, and up into 9th position goes our Red Bull driver, and goes the pole sitter for this race as well. And now Ben up into 9th. He's got his good old buddy of Luke up ahead of him. RJ is closing up to the back of Reservoir a lot more now as there's more yellow flags. That's in fact Pope going around on the final corner, probably taking a bit too much of that inside curve. German now around and out to the back end of the field.
So, driver we've seen do that turn 16 today, and his tyres don't look the best for it. Nolan's got 1.3 seconds. He is extending, but he's not extending probably anywhere near as much as Larkin was at the start of this race. So those tyres, I do think they have seen their best days, and they have got another 7.5 laps to suffer here yet. But if RJ can do anything, that would do absolutely beautiful for Felipe. In fact, RJ's doing things for Alex the G behind him. Got very out of shape through turn 9, and has left himself looking vulnerable through 11 and into 12 now, and then through the bank turn 13, where Michael Schumacher span in 2004 in the first ever Chinese Grand Prix. Had a nightmare race, did the 7-time champion, and RJ's put himself in a tricky spot here through 13, and there goes Alex the G straight up into a podium place. And any designs that Felipe has on taking the lead of the championship, Alex the G is doing his absolute utmost to dispel those right now as he's into a podium place. Felipe would still be taking the championship lead as it stands, though. We have an 8-point lead going into next week, wherever it is we're at. I've got no idea. But it's Japan. Oh, I think I might be ill next week. Nolan's on 10%. Reservoir is down to 3. He was on 0 as they're coming down straight. I think Alex the G is now the one making moves. 0% for Reservoir. I do not love that for him right now, and I lost my train of thought, so I'll let you say something.
Well, Reservoir really is going to be put under pressure from Alex the G now. Alex is looking like he is getting a bit feisty now. He was doing that with Evans earlier on, and now he's going to be doing that for a second position on Reservoir out in front. Reservoir just getting a little bit squirmy through the S section as well. Got only 7 more laps left to go, or 6.5 laps left to go as Reservoir again through the double lefts. Not enjoying those corners. Alex has seen now 2 people have a bit of a moment through those corners. RJ being the first one, Reservoir being the second. A tiny little tap between them as well. Alex giving him a little bit of a tap. RJ now going to maybe try and go for a move on Alex as well. And Evans going around the outside of RJ through turn number 14. Is he going to be able to get this move done on Aston Martin? He's going to hold it around the outside. I think he is. I don't think RJ's going to be able to put a little too much of a fight on that.
Lifeboat's going for it.
And now as well.
Lifeboat is dumping everything. He's dumping all of his VRS where he was briefly, and Evans is going for it as well. Evans has gone for a double overtake on Alex the G, and Lifeboat takes Reservoir out of the race in the process. RJ just slips through on all 3 of those, and Reservoir resumes second place, and it's the 2 that weren't involved in things there that have come up through in the front of that in the battle for the podium. And Matty is going to try and make a move here. He's looking down the outside of Lifeboat. He's got some slipstream from Evans, and he's surging deep and late into turn 1 round the outside. Can he hang it on? Has he got the grip? Look at Alex the G, still trying to gain some places in there, and he's lost a lot in the in that stupid overtake attempt. And he's not going to get any back any time sharpish though. And Luco 5HD, in fact, he's going to bring himself back into play. He's making contact not once but twice with Alex the G towards turn 6, and a 3rd time as well. Alex the G and Luke for a 4th time and a 5th time make contact. It costs Cap and takes P7 in all of that. Nolan's lead now stands at 4 seconds. And it's Reservoir P2, RJ P3, we're back to where we were under the safety car. Evans is now the one threatening to make the most on the fresher tyres. Lifeboat as well. And Matty out of nowhere just quietly worked her way up into P6. What did you make of that?
That wasn't good. I got to admit that was not good. I saw that, I think, from RJ's point of view. Evans doing a double dive was not good. He absolutely smacked Alex out of the way at that hairpin. And then, as you say, Lifeboat going into the back of Reservoir allowed RJ to then try and go for a move. And yeah, Evans wants to gain down the inside in towards the hairpin. A little bit of contact with RJ, just a little bit of wall bumping between the pair of them. But Evans having a little bit of a squirm out of the hairpin this time as well. RJ now being able to hold on ahead of the Aston Martin. As Evans again, another squirm out of the final corner. And just as a little bit of a touch as well, what happened previously, obviously Luke and Alex having a little bit of contact earlier as Lix has gone round out of the hairpin. But yeah, Luke getting a bit of oversteer through turn number 6 with Alex. And then of course when he had the oversteer, it kind of dragged Alex off to the right, which is why Alex is now 1.5 seconds behind the AlphaTauri. Touchdown, the fastest lap of the race. 5 more laps left to go. It's looking anyone but Nolan's win for this evening at the moment. However, we've seen what Nolan can be capable of. I don't want to be a bit too early with it, but the signs are pointing towards Nolan taking this win so far. Just 5 more laps left to go for his first Division 2 race win.
I feel like you're doing Nolan a bit of a disservice. There's Evans goes at turn 7 into 8. And no one wants to challenge RJ and Reservoir in this race. He's now Lifeboat, the Iraqi's D4 winner of last week. He's now the one up into P4 pushing for that podium finish. Yeah, I was going to say, I think you're doing Nolan a disservice. I think he's cleaned up his act a little bit the last couple of seasons. 10-second penalty for Evans. I think he probably will come and retire at the end of this lap, given that. But yeah, he has scrubbed up his act a lot more since, I'd say, season 5 or 6, his first couple of seasons in D2. T-Brum has been overtaken by Chris. Lix has had another spin at turn 10, and we've got 4 laps to go in this one, and Reservoir is still in P2.
I don't know how he's been able to hold that, but I was just more meant with Nolan, the fact that we've known him to bottle in the past. I will admit he has bottled in the past, but at this moment it's looking like he may not. I don't want to commentate this person because he's driving very well so far. He has driven very well so far this evening, and with only 4 more laps left to go, it's looking very likely he could be on for this when Reservoir on for second and RJ on for third. Now again, I'm bringing it back to that what if. What if Larkin had made that pit stop early on? Would it have? Would he now be battling with Nolan for this lead of the race?
Well, you can't say no, can you? Because he'd be ahead of Reservoir, he would have been ahead of Taupe, he'd been ahead of RJ, he'd have been ahead of everybody that made those early stops. The Scream as well. We've got yellow flags galore here as Evans is coming out of the pits. Lix is coming out of the pits as well. Credit to Lix though for not retiring from this race. He's still going. And still going is Resify in P2, RJ 6/10ths back. I think RJ is more than happy to sit behind Resify, to be honest with you, and protect and use that DRS to protect himself from the advances of Lifebout and Matty behind it. With Alex the G dropping down into P8, no one's actually going to have quite a sizable championship lead after this race. It's going to be 5 points for Alex the G. It's going to be 25 for Nolan. That's a 17-point swing. And it was 2 points going out to you, so Nolan's going to come away from round 2 with a 15-point lead in the championship, which is very good going, has to be said. We've got a sprint in the bag as well, so things looking up for the Berryman, the Burnley fan, the Veghorst winner. I'm sure he'll love that from me for calling him that. RJ 3/10ths back. He's closing up now, isn't he? I said he was looking happy to take P3. But I wonder if he's saving himself for the last lap, perhaps.
Definitely could be. I think it's the case that I think if more than anything, he's worried about a puncture now. He's done 18 laps on his medium compound tyre. Of course, he's had 3 safety cars under those medium tyres, but at the same time, he's now really going to be put under pressure from how those mediums are going to be at the end of this race. If he can keep with Reservoir, that'd be good to see. As I said, I think the thing that he's really worrying about though is if he gets a puncture or not, especially 18 lap old mediums. You were saying earlier the mediums really can only go about 16, 17 odd laps, and even with a safety car that's still going to be a bit difficult. So 18 laps on these mediums, he's going to have to take them 20 laps on the medium compound tyre. I don't know, I feel like it's definitely a Hail Mary still, and there is an opportunity for him to stay in third. But it's looking less and less likely as Lifebout is closing up to the back of RJ. There's a little bit of information from the last lap as well. Chris having a bit of a spin out of turn number 14, dropped down from P10 to P12. He's now dispatched the Taupe up into 11. But I think Taupe might be looking to go for a move on him very soon. But again, we're looking on this battle for P3, RJ, Lifebout, and even then he's still in the DRS of Reservoir. But RJ, you can see those tyres are now starting to degrade quite significantly. And I think RJ is on the verge of a puncture here, Jay.
I can't quite tell. They don't look quite like the aesthetic, the sheen they have when they're like 80+%. I think he's probably, I'm going to tentatively say he's probably around high 60s. They're just probably quite very slow right now, but it helps that Reservoir is also on 20 lap old tyres right now. Taupe passes Chris for P11, retakes P11. What else have we got going on? It really is just the Reservoir trains. In Reservoir though, the gap to Nolan has stabilised somewhat. Nolan's not pulling away, so we have finally hit the point, the crossover point I think, where those hards have become quicker, but that drama at turn 14 and everything that came and spilled from it and led up to it put Nolan in a pretty unassailable position right now. And Reservoir is looking comfortable, I dare say. He's 8/10ths quicker, or ahead, sorry, of RJ. We know this is a hard track to overtake on with DRS anyway. Unless you're an idiot, as I think all 4 divisions have shown this evening. I think he looks comfortable, to be honest with you, for that P2. I don't think RJ really has anything to throw at the Ferrari. It's going to be a very good result for Ferrari. 2nd and 5th, 3rd and 6th for Red Bull. Neither Red Bull was here last week. They're both here today, and I think both teams are going to get a very solid haul of points to kick off their championship. And AlphaTauri as well, 1st and 7th. It's been a good race for those 3 teams as we've now started the last lap.
Yeah, we certainly have, and I've just been riding on board with RJ for the past 2 laps. He is not taking a single curb other than that final corner. So yeah, RJ I think is really trying to hold on to these tyres and make sure he doesn't pick himself up a puncture, which I don't blame him. He has to try and hold off from Lifeboat though, all over the back of him. And Lifeboat, look how much ERS he's got left to play with. And he sees that red flash and like it's Christmas for the Hash driver in front of him. 60% still left in Lifeboat's tank to contend with him, as there are more yellow flags going through that final corner. T-Brum coming into the pits are probably to retire from the session. There's no point in him putting on a set of soft because he's not going to be able to go for a fastest lap. He's putting it on anyway, so a bit of a silly move. But I think, Jake, finally, Nolan is looking like he's getting his first Division 2 race win. However, it's not over yet. Still riding on board with this battle for P2. Is RJ going to be getting a puncture? He has a little bit of a wobble. Coming out of turn 14, Lix has retired from the session. I don't think RJ has got a puncture as of yet. He's still going, but Lifeboat is using that ERS. RJ's going to try and go defensive down the inside in towards the hairpin. Lifeboat's going to go around the outside. Already passes RJ for the podium. That's RJ off of the podium, unfortunately for him, but we cut to Nolan. Through the final corner he comes, and for his first Division 2 race win, Ariel Nolan takes the checkered flag for the race win around China. Reservoir will finish in second, and Lifeboat from Division 4 to Division 2 this week will finish in third. RJ, it was a valiant effort on the 21 lap of mediums. He will finish in fourth. Matty in 5th, Luke in 6th, Alex the G in 7th, Ben JS in 8th, Brent in 9th, and Nasreen in 10th, Tope in 11th, Chris finishing in 12th for the final point of Division 2 for China. Larkin will finish in 13th, Sweet Ross in 14th, and T-Brum in 15th in the end as well. Still surprised he pit because he wasn't going to get the fastest lap. We're making a pit stop anyway, so yeah, but Nolan finally picking himself up a race win.
It goes without saying, doesn't it? You take nothing away from that. I don't think no one really challenged him, but I think that was to Nolan's credit more than it was to everyone else's dismay. I think that was an exemplary drive from Nolan. As we saw from Alex the G last week, he didn't put a foot wrong. He sat behind Larkin. He didn't panic or lose his head when he was at the front of that P2 train. He was happy for Larkin to run away on the other strategy, and he's now taken a well-deserved, and I would say a long overdue, and I think probably for many people, a positive victory for the league as well. I think he's a very popular character, is Jack Dylan Nolan, Ariel Felipe Auto Gears Nolan, Ariel Nolan, a man of many names. I'm sure I wonder how Don's steering wheel will be feeling now to seeing his D4 title rival take his first D2 victory. Only took it Nolan for 4 seasons, but he's made it to the top steps. But I want to give a shout out to Reservoir as well. Drove a beautiful race, and he was just as deserving of that P2 as Nolan was a victory. And RJ as well was desperately unlucky, but it's the people who kept their heads that shone through, wasn't it, in the end? Nolan wins with Lifebout in second. No, that's the overall results, ignore me. Nolan wins from Reservoir in second, Lifebout third, RJ was fourth. Matty took a quiet, understated but mighty impressive 5th place. Luke recovered well to 6th. Alex the G was 7th in the end. Where he started, but he got involved in a few things, didn't he? Koskappen 8th from pole after his mistake a third of the way through that race. Brent in 9th, The Scream in 10th, Tope 11th, Chris 12th, Larkin 13th, misses out on a point for fastest lap as he finished outside of the points, what could have been for the McLaren. Ross 14th, T-Brum 15th, Lix 16th, Evans 17th, Marcio 18th, Charlie 19th, and Rex last. Those last 4 were our DNFers and Lix as well in that, actually. So let's see if I need to shoot off quite quickly, but I know if I know Nolan, he will be absolutely fuming if we don't get him in for an interview. So if you're happy, we'll just do a race winners interview this week, if that's all right. Is that good with you?
We'll do that. We will do that. I'll get him in the party very, very quickly. But as I say, Jake, obviously we've got. Oh, you've done it already. That's fine. Obviously next week, as I say, we've got Japan anyway. So, do you think we're going to see a repeat of what has happened for tonight? Obviously, I know it's not going to be a sprint, but at the same time, it was a lot of carnage that went down. What do you reckon?
It was, but then also I think it's Japan. I think we'll see a different crop of drivers on top. It's as wheelie as it gets, apart from Monaco, which I think follows it. So we've just had 2 different winners. Why not make it a third? No offence to the winner that we have in the party with us right now.
Fair enough, fair enough. Mr. Ariel Nolan.
Hello.
Jack Dylan Nolan. You've
Hello.
finally done it.
Oh,
Finally done it.
I did. And you know what, as well, the worst part is I had Izzat, Peas, Luke included, to be honest, every single one going for 4.1 seconds. There's not a single chance you could mess this up. No, there's not a single. No one could ever mess this up. Did you not see? I lost 1.5 seconds on my last lap and avoided every single apex.
Oh, I saw that literally on the last lap. I saw, I think, is that in the Discord also saying something about that? But yeah, no, it looked like it was going to be well. As soon as you had gotten that 4-second gap out to Reservoir, I think it was anyone but yours at that point, or it wasn't anybody else's but yours. Sorry, at that point. So that race, though, it looked like it was more of a battle of attrition between you and Larkin for that whole race, for that entire start of the race. How was that for you?
Well, to be honest, the race and the sprint were the exact same plan for me. In the sprint, Ben was too fast. I was I could have gone faster. I was just too nervous for some reason to put the acceleration down. So I was like, I'll be second. And then I was trying to keep Luke in DRS to stay ahead of Larkin. And then he copped that one up because he's useless. So then we got to the race, and then once again, Larkin was on the mediums. So my plan was just let him go and race for second again. And then what was it? When he stayed out in the safety car, that's when I kind of knew I'm probably going to win, because I don't know why he stayed out after the first one on the mediums. I don't know. He could have made it to the end, but either way, it was more just accepting second place and trying to win a title on seconds and thirds instead of a win. As much as I want the win.
Well, you've now got a win, so that's your plan out of the window with that. But of course, now you go into the lead of the title ahead of Alex. I think Alex is still in second in the title at this present moment, only just though, especially with Evans having a bad race, T-Brum having a bad race. It basically allowed you just to run away even more in this championship. And even then, Alex is still a reserve anyway, so it's not even as if he's going to be racing every single race if he's going to be able to turn up to them, unless of course he becomes a full-time driver. So a couple more races that are probably going to be a bit of a hindrance for you coming up. When's the next one you're thinking you've got a chance of taking a win, or do you reckon you can at Japan next week?
Well, Japan I've always been really good at, actually. Japan's one of my best tracks. It's when you look at this calendar, I think it's absolute dog shite. I was like, this is a terrible season for me. I think you from this season. So I feel like Japan, I need to get something out of it, because Abu Dhabi, I'm shocking. Monaco, I'm getting lapped twice. Austin, which one's that? Which American track's Austin? Is that the
Kota?
Is that Kota? Oh yeah, I'm good at Kota.
Yeah.
So and then luckily for me, Bahrain's like a sprint. So my good tracks, as in pad and ABS, are actually all 3 sprint races. So I think they kind of help me out compared to the bad tracks.
It's as if the calendar was decided by someone that also runs pad and ABS, which is very surprising to see. So, yeah, I mean, again, there's nothing to take away from that, but other than the fact that you're now in the championship lead, you drive very well. Finally, picking up a Division 2 race win. But Jake, any questions for Nolan?
I'll get the D1 win. It's coming.
It's coming.
I don't actually, because not much happened for you in that race.
Because you didn't want to
really
do interviews, that's why.
No, we did the interviews just for you. I want to go off and watch the Chiefs v Jaguars.
We've got the draft. We've got the NFL draft.
I know. I was about to load up Madden, and I thought if I do that, it'll end the stream. So I couldn't do that.
Let's stream the draft. LOE draft.
I wanted to do interviews, but that's why we're only interviewing you, because I knew explicitly. I was like, there's no way Jack wins this race.
Oh, if you
doesn't
didn't
want to
let
get
me do an interview,
I know. I knew you'd want to. So
I'd have called you a dirty little nice person, and I'd have been fuming.
Okay, enough of that. So, I feel like everything's been covered in the sense that you had a very straightforward race, but was it as straightforward as it looked? Were there any scary moments for you at any point?
The last lap was terrifying, obviously, because I just thought I'm going to cock this up. I'm going to spin. And then there was a point, and they both happened on the same lap. I think Licks, was it? The Alfa Romeo? He, like, spun, and I think Larkin might have hit him. I don't know, but he didn't go, so I had to brake. And then, I don't know what Ben did, but he, like, torpedoed up the inside, and, like, my rear view mirror looked like he was going to punt into me, but then he just seemed to disappear. But other than that, not really. I didn't think the win was on the cards until the last, like, 10 laps, maybe. I thought I was on for a P2 or a 3. And then that last safety car kind of helped me out a bit.
Yeah, no, as I said, I think it was the case that you'll see it back in the stream as to what happened. I think I was still caught within that, but yeah, I mean, it's essentially you drove very well. You're now in the championship lead. Let's see if you can hold it ahead of everybody else, though, Jack.
Oh, well, that's probably not. Let's be honest. I'm binning it most laps. We'll be honest. The title's probably not coming home, but I've got to win, and I'll take a win. And then me and Luke are going for constructors. That's the plan.
We'll see if that holds up. It's looking likely every single race at the moment. But yeah, I mean, Jake, any sort of final thoughts at all for that race?
No, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and all I would emphasise is congratulations to yourself. As I said on the stream, if you watch it back, it was tremendously long overdue, but I'm sure it was a very popular win as well. So congratulations. I hope it's the first of many.
I do too, to be honest. And no assist drivers, please join Relentless because we are absolutely gutted.
Well, we'll end the stream with that one. Thanks to everybody that has tuned in for this evening. Make sure you guys catch round 3 around Japan, Division 1, Division 3 at 6:30 p.m. GMT. Division 1 covered by James Head and Old School 3000, and Division 3 covered by Jess Gamer and Evil Dragon, and even or potentially Nolan. I'm not sure if Evil Dragon will be well enough to come back as of yet, but if not, if so, then obviously it'll be those two for next week. And then Division 2 and Division 4 at 8:10 p.m. GMT. Division 2, of course, covered by myself and Mr. QVR Killer Jake, and Division 4 covered by QVR Verstappen and QVR Packer. So make sure you tune in across all 4 divisions as we go into round number 3. I said thank you to everyone for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next week for round 3 around the Japanese Grand Prix.